Hi everyone and welcome back to Getting There the podcast with me, Brogan. Today's episode is an extraordinary one. I sit down with Iain Liam Ward, better known as the King of Chemo. Iain's journey is nothing short of inspiring. From his personal battle with cancer to his incredible mission of becoming the individual on track to raise the most money ever for charity. Join us in this episode as we dive deep into his story of resilience, determination, and his unwavering commitment to make a difference in the world. You will not want to miss this powerful conversation. Iain, how are you?
Splendid.
Welcome to the Getting There podcast.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Been excited to have you on because you are a man on a mission, aren't you?
I certainly am, yeah.
You're on the mission to raise the most money ever for charity, am I right?
Not for charity, but for running a marathon for charity.
Right, okay.
That one comes later.
Okay. So can you just bring us back, because you've actually got a really interesting story, and I know when we spoke on the phone, the way that you've organised your fundraising is really unique, and I think that's what's given you this great profile and loads of attention. But for those of us who aren't familiar with your story, could you just bring us back to, well, tell us a little bit about Iain and how you got diagnosed?
So I was doing medical trials since I kind of found out about how much money they throw at you for doing very little.
Which is?
It depends on which sort of trial you're doing, but the ones that I was doing, it was always like kind of, we need a healthy person between this age. Like, it changes for who they want. They don't just take anybody in. Sometimes they want smokers, sometimes they don't want smokers, things like that. And so I signed up to loads of different medical trials just because, first of all, I was a student, and then afterwards I was like, I don't want to like work for things that I don't want to do when I can kind of do this on the side. And then so I would do like fitness classes. That's what would be my main source of income. But fitness classes, you don't do like 9 to 5. So
No.
you often do like small amounts of them, and it's usually to like a side piece. So
Yeah, and they're quite antisocial, are they not? Like in the morning and in the evenings?
Yeah. And so I was doing those ones, and then not that I'd be doing them during the day, but I need to make up the rest of the financial sort of
Budget,
yeah.
yeah.
And so I found that one of the ways that I, not that I enjoyed them, although some of them were fun.
Tell me about some of them. I'm fascinated. And how did you first hear about them?
I can't remember. I think someone I know just did one, and then from that I was like, how much did they pay? And it's like $2,000. I was like, what? How long were you in there for? It was like a day. I was like, wow, like, where do I sign up? And I just went with that. And then so like,
What was the first one you did? What was that? Do you remember?
I think the first one I did is something that has now given me a resistance to HIV, because it was a HIV vaccine that they were working on. So there was a hospital that was really near my house as well, and I would just go in, give blood, and then leave, and it would be 15 minutes. Now, most of the other trials that I did, they were actually like inside a kind
hospital,
of a closed off setting, and you'd stay there for quite a while. But this one was like incredible. Funnily enough, the first one that I applied for, I didn't get, because my heart rate was below 50 beats per minute.
Which means you're super fit, right?
It was because I was super fit, but not super fit, but it was because I was quite fit. And then like the people who were doing the research or who were testing me, they were like, yeah, we know you don't have a heart problem. You're a young lad. You do triathlons. Like, we can understand why you have a slow heartbeat. We were like, we wanted you to kind of, we tested you a few times to try and hope that the heartbeat might go up, and we noticed that you were actually, when you were taking the heartbeat, you were squeezing your legs together to try and up the
so that you could take part.
So that I could take part, yeah. And like, they wanted me, like scientists, they wanted me to join in, because they knew that wasn't the reason why I shouldn't be qualified, that I'm an exception to the rule. But they were still like, this is scientific research that we're doing on humans. We have to follow the rules strictly, even when we kind of know by common sense that it's a different reason.
What was your heart rate?
I was just like, whatever it was below.
Well, mine's 42. So when mine came, okay, can we compare?
There you go. Average resting heart rate is 59 beats per minute, and it's currently not detecting.
So mine's like 42 when I sleep. So when I went to see someone once.
That's about right though, isn't it?
It's quite low. Or I think it's gone to 38. but it sits at like 45 and they're like, oh, exactly what they said to you is because you're super fit, but I definitely wasn't doing triathlons.
I would imagine that if your heart rate is like above 60 when you sleep, that's probably not a good thing.
No, I don't think you'd want it to be that.
No, imagine sleep is very different. Walking around, like if it's above 60, that's grand.
Yeah, especially when you exercise. So what, they wouldn't let you take part in this trial then?
No, but that ended up being a really big silver lining because they then passed on my information to another trial that was very similar. I think it was like closer to the house and they were paying more. So I was like, okay, that's ended up being beneficial. And so that was my first medical trial. And then after that, I just kept doing like every so often, they'd email me being like, hey, you qualify for this thing. They wouldn't happen very often. They'd be like maybe twice a year.
Oh, okay.
So they weren't stuff that was, and often they'd offer me something. I was like, I can't, I'm booked into work for that. So I can't just like take that time off. And basically I was doing one of them, and before they put you on a medical trial, they are very strict with the screening process, I suppose, as we've just discussed.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I was going to do was I was going to go in to get my, I think it was a medication for some sort of schizophrenia or something like that. So they have to test on people who are healthy and do not have schizophrenia first. And so that involved an MRI scan on my head. And that's where they first discovered my brain tumor. So I wasn't giving off symptoms. And I had actually done a trial. Normally, like I was saying, I wouldn't be doing trials very close to one another. But I had actually done a trial only 3 months before where they were doing CT scans on my head.
Yeah.
And it was nothing was detected.
Is that because it would have been so small?
I don't think so.
Or just because it grew at such a expedited rate?
As in they didn't get it detected?
Yeah, in the first time.
Well, they don't know what brought it on, but the people that I was speaking to with brain surgery, they were like, it would have been in your head 3 months ago. There's no way that, like, it's quite rare that something would grow to the size that it was in 3 months without giving off symptoms. Something would have been going on that you would have noticed. And I was like, I haven't noticed a thing. I didn't lose any.
So you're in the trial.
Mm-hmm.
Do they come out that day on the MRI and say there's something?
No, MRIs take quite a while to get results from.
So how did they tell you?
Oh, just like a week later or 2 weeks later or so. And they just called me up and were like, yeah, just so you know, Iain, not good news. We've actually discovered what seems to be a tumor. What's it when it's like something is meant to be non-harmful? I think
Benign is
benign. Yeah, benign. And so it's like, it looks like it's benign, but you need to get a second check to be certain, because the check that we did wasn't focusing on tumors. It was just a general scan. And then the second one, they were like, okay, no, it's not benign. This is grown a significant amount compared to the previous thing. So this is likely to be cancerous. And then so that's where the whole process started. So like, this is why I keep saying that I'm the luckiest unlucky man on the planet. The chances of the perfect timing, my first ever MRI was on my head at a particular time where I hadn't had symptoms for my brain cancer. And then through that, I was able to catch the cancer before we had symptoms. Like, it's still deadly, but it's...
And what stage was it when you were diagnosed?
When I was diagnosed, it was stage 3.
And how did you feel in that moment?
Because I didn't have symptoms, it's so difficult to try and get my head around it. No pun intended.
Just about to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must be so difficult because you kind of disassociate and you think of cancer, pain and suffering. And what were your thoughts when you went home that night?
Like, it was all quite a shock, and it was during COVID when I got my second scan, and it was my thought process was more where, like, all right, who am I going to tell? Do I want to tell anyone? And sort of, right, what's the sort of the plan of action? And so that was my first sort of thought process. I wasn't really thinking about the situation that I was in. I was like, sort of something that led up to me doing all this stuff over social medias, because over COVID, I had started off this little YouTube channel with my friend, which was just like playing video games while listening to albums and drinking cocktails. And it was just a particular way.
And you were doing that in lockdown?
Huh? Yeah. So like, it was like, now I have this opportunity to do this thing that we thought was fun. It was something that me and my housemate just did for a laugh. And then one of our other mates was like, lads, are you trying to start up like a YouTube profile or something? This is definitely something that you see on social media. And then I kind of had that ding in my mind where I was like, yeah, it is actually sort of quite a unique selling point or whatever. And I started off. My housemate had no interest in like doing it on social media.
So what was the plan then? Who did you tell, or did you keep it to yourself?
I kept it to myself for quite a while because it was also near my brother's birthday. So I didn't want to be like,
How
ruining
long's
that.
quite a while?
I think it was around a month.
That's a very long time to not share that.
Yeah, well, I had my reasons and they came out to be absolutely correct. And it was because I knew they'd be annoying me. I knew they'd be constantly calling me up and being like, how are you? How are you? How are you? And it's like, am I allowed to swear on this?
Yeah, this is the Getting There podcast.
Yeah.
We have my dad to say that you can't because I swear too much. But no,
Yeah, well, like, it's like, fuck off. I don't want to talk about cancer all the time. Like, I'm coming up to doing this surgery. Why would you think I want to talk about it? I understand, like, that's the thing that people say, like, oh, you need to talk to someone about their, if they're going through something. But, like, in a lot of other ways, I don't think people talk enough about how if you're going to talk to someone who's going through mental health issues. Now, like, don't quote me on this. I'm not a psychologist, but like, I would.
But from your experience, and that's what we're here to talk about. Everyone's experience.
I would think that, like, if someone is going through some form of depression, talking about their specific depression is a depressing subject matter. Right. So, while at the one side it's important to acknowledge what's going on the other side, I would think that being there for someone is more important than, like, are you scared? It's like, well, I am now. Previously, I was thinking about, like, the film that we saw the other day or the film that we're going to like look at later on. And now, I'm back into this bleak thing. It's like, I don't fucking know. I don't know what the afterlife is like. I don't know if I'm going to come out of the...
Did you think you were going to die, though?
I mean, it's a potential... like, the craniotomy is the most dangerous surgery that you can go through. I didn't think that I was going to die, but, like, I thought that I was legitimately going to lose the... so I'm right-handed, and left temporal lobe is where my brain tumor is. And your left temporal lobe is where, if you're right-handed, it's the part that controls your ability to speak. And
coordinate a lot of you.
No, it really, really interesting. Afterwards, I did lose my ability to speak properly. It was basically just like have you ever played Articulate?
No.
It's a game, like, lots of people play it over Christmas. It's basically like you try to, you get cards and you've got to describe something without saying the word itself. Yeah. So it's like, it's an electronic device to project your voice through something. Guess.
Microphone.
There you go. So that's what the game of Articulate is. And it was basically like a really heightened version of that, where I was losing loads of different commonly used words. Hospital was one of them. And so I would just have to, like, kind of point to certain things. And it was, nothing else felt off, which was so bizarre and surreal, because if you think, like, you're hungover, it's like everything is affected. Whereas, like, with the part of my body that was being taken away, like, I could be playing American football and have the coordination and all that sort of stuff. At one point, one of the nurses from the neurology department came in to say, like, hey, we're here to do your test. And I was actually playing a video game at the time. And so, like, anyone who plays video games know that it requires a lot of cognitive, like, ability and, like, concentration to do whatever. And I was, playing fine, and everybody said I was playing terrible around like that. Nurse comes in and asks, hi, okay, we're here to do your neurological test. I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. Laptop down, blah, 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 blah. And she says, where are you? And I was like, I'm and I had to, like, work my way around to describe where I was. It's like, it sounds like a hostel, which is breaking the rules on Articulate. You're not going to say it sounds like, but it sounds like hostel, but it's for the sick. And then she is like, a hospital? Yes, I'm in the hospital. Yeah. And even like other things, like, my second name is Ward, and to remind myself of what my name was, even though as I was saying it, it's like, it's Ward. My name is Iain Ward. And I had to be thinking in my head, your name is the same as a hospital ward. I had to remind myself of how to describe my name.
And is this side effects from the surgery?
We think so, yeah. It definitely was, because like it happened the 6 days after the surgery. They said it was gonna last for up to a year and a half at its worst, but because I was young when I got my brain surgery, the brain has what's called plasticity. So like the younger your brain gets damaged, the more likely it is to heal. Like everything with age, really, but like particularly with the brain. So 60-year-olds who would have to have brain cancer or have to have brain surgery. If I was, twice the age as I was when I got the surgery, I probably would. Hopefully not by this stage, but I would have had the ability to speak properly poorly for a lot longer period than I did. But it was just again, lucky that I had cancer at a young age in some ways.
Jesus. And so I feel like I've gone fast forwarded loads. So what was that particular surgery for then?
To remove the brain cancer as much as possible.
And how much of it did they get?
They got a big chunk, but they don't really do it by percentages because they wouldn't know the whole amount. And part of the reason with all cancers where they don't say like you're cured, they say you're in remission, is because of the tumors that they're able to detect. Tumors are a lot like a plant where they have like roots that go out in sort of things. And
like the roots of the trees where they grow in.
Exactly, yeah. And so often the roots themselves cannot be seen, so by a scan or by a detection. And also there's like that other thing where it's like our body actually everyone has cancer in their body that is small amounts at all times. But it's just that our DNA is able to maintain itself. But don't fully quote me on this now. I'm not an oncologist. I'm just around it a lot.
So how long were you going through that period of like not coordinating properly or with your words? And that sounds to me like
6
really
days.
Frightening. Oh, you only had it for 6 days?
6 days.
Oh, okay. That must have been quite frightening because you were saying before you had no symptoms and now you're...
Came in waves.
Really?
Yep. Again, another real easy way to sort of get through the situation where... at some points I wouldn't be able to speak properly and then it would just come back.
So what would you say that got you through those moments in the hospital and everything that was going through? Because you seem to have a lot of resilience.
Well, I suppose the fact that it came in waves was a big thing. It was like the first time it happened, it was to be expected. And like I came out of the surgery and I was able to talk. So it's like, right, this is...
positive.
Brilliant, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was also told that if you lose some of your speech, don't worry too much because it'll come back. It's not degenerative. It will sort of return.
Almost like part of the healing process.
Yeah. So hang on a second.
I've got a cough too. I'm picking up from my thumb.
I've spread it to you.
I'll blame you.
COVID's back, baby.
Oh, God, this was going on all the while COVID was happening, wasn't it?
Which was actually really beneficial to me because none of my friends were doing anything fun and everyone was playing Warzone. So it was just like, this is brilliant. I'm not missing out on anything. No FOMO for me.
But then a lot of people would have had that stance. Then a lot of people went into being really lonely and isolated. Like, again, this kind of heightens to me the amount of resilience
I
you have.
had Warzone. I had all my mates. I was like, my mates were all 30. Like, loads of them have, like, pretty much all of them have kids and are married at this stage. But at 30, some of them weren't. But like, they were still like hard to sort of see on like nights out, especially because we're all around the world at this stage. But yeah, we were all playing video games together.
Were you doing the drinking as well or not?
I think the odd time we'd sort of like be sitting there.
You can say it. You can tell us the truth.
Well, yeah, like we'd be sitting around and it would be like lunchtime. We'd sort of be like, here, lads. And we'd like open cans and, you know what, I'll have one as well. And like we'd kind of have a couple of drinks together. Like we were in, the pub at Friday night.
Did that make you, the way, obviously, listen, you had a really super healthy life. You were a fitness instructor. Like if this was going to happen to anyone, you'd probably be, like you say, at the bottom of the pile. Did this make you then have to revisit like things that you would have not normally done, like drinking or the food you were eating? Were you strict on that kind of thing, or did you just continue to live normally?
I definitely looked into things to eat and things not to eat, but I mean, I'm in the same sort of battle that I've always had with sugar, just because I'm I like pints, but I'm not addicted to them. If someone was to say like, you're not able to drink anymore, I'd be like, no. But like, I wouldn't be there like, like having shivers or whatever, but like sometimes I just sort of get these cravings for sugar and they don't piss off for
Till you do.
until something is eaten, and then it's the typical sort of like, it's not like, there's one cookie that I'm satiated now, I'll leave that alone.
I don't know anyone that can eat one biscuit.
No.
I don't know any. I literally go through the whole packet. I turned around the other day, my friend was
Yep.
like, oh my God, we've done the whole packet of biscuits.
Yep.
They're so easy and Moorish. So were you more mindful though when you were undergoing a lot of your treatment?
In some ways, yeah, but it was like kind of like,
An outlet?
well, not so much an outlet, but it was almost more annoying in like when I was sort of giving into my vices. Well, vice, I only really have one really. And when I was doing it, it was like previously I'd sort of go on a sugar binge and I was like, right, well, you better like, do something tomorrow and burn this off. But it added this extra layer of guilt where it's like, you've done your research, that cancer feeds off of sugar.
Yeah.
And like, here you are, you're in a dangerous situation, you're still giving into this. Like, it wasn't so much that it gave me extra motivation to stay away from sugar. It just gave me extra guilt when I've like,
It just made it
given
heavier.
in. Yeah.
But you were training. There's videos of you in hospitals and stuff training. Were you training a lot while you were poorly?
No, not in. I ran to the hospitals.
But still, that's remarkable.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah. And do you think that's part of it that kept your sanity?
No, it was that like I can't try and present myself as sort of like, someone who's just the Zen master. Like, not having symptoms makes it fairly easy for you to
Yeah.
just stick your head in the sand and be like, it doesn't affect me.
And you've still never had symptoms to this day?
No, afterwards, after the surgery, I had I had one seizure, and then I learned that how to not have seizures again. And that's simply when you start feeling the dizziness and the loss of speech, to just lie down and just like sit down, lie down. And they were provoked when I was out running. And it was like one time I passed out, and that was because I was out running and I started getting a little bit lightheaded, and I was listening to a song. I was like, "Oh, I've forgotten what the lyrics to this song are, and I know them. So it's like, this is probably something to do with the brain cancer." And I was like, "Okay, slow down, but keep going. This might be something that you're gonna have to learn to deal with if you do want to try and break a world record doing a marathon." And that was not a wise decision. That went on. I slowed down or whatever, and then I was like, okay, I'll do a walking pace and see, does this go away? And then I just blacked out, and then I woke up with like someone who had very kindly taken my phone out of my armband and had like called an ambulance or called my mom or something. And then I just I think I then slept in, and then woke back up again, and the paramedics were there.
Oh, wow. So you learned not to do that again?
Well, I just learned, like, if you start to feel like lightheaded, you can't push through it. It's or like, even if you ease it down, you can't like get through it. Sit down, don't do anything. And it happened a couple of more times, and I just like, okay, stop, no matter what.
Listen to your body.
Yeah, listen to the body, sit down. And like the first time I did it, thankfully my dog was a puppy at the time, and I had gone for a little run with her, dropped her back to the house, and then gone back out again to do more of the run. But because like I had a seizure and passed out, I had forgotten that I had brought her back. So I rose up and I thought I had lost her in the park. And so the paramedics were like, okay, cool, we're going to take you down to the thing. It's like, where's my dog? Where's my dog? Where's my dog? Where's my dog? And I was like, we don't know, you didn't have your dog. And I was like, guys, here, look, I've come to now again. I'm compos mentis. I'm not going to the hospital.
Until I find my dog.
I'm finding my dog. And then I remember at the time, 2 policemen came over as well, just because, like, the 911 is called, or was it 999, whatever the fucking thing is, 211 and 666, whatever you call. And then,
what is it? 112?
112.
No, 111?
Yeah, 112, I think it is.
Okay.
And then so the police came over as well, and I remember, like, like, I'm a big fan of the British police. I've like seen them when they're sort of doing the carnival, or like the Watangi Day pub
Like the
crawl.
riots and things.
I didn't see I wasn't out for any of the riots, but just like when they did carnival, where it's like thing, and it's just sort of the way that they're
The way they police.
where it's like it's sensible, and like they talk to people. Anyways, but these cops were fucking idiots. And they both of them, when I was like, I need to find my dog, and then both of them like both grabbed like one arm each, and we're like, we need to take you to hospital. And I'm here thinking like, you don't have the right to fucking arrest me to bring me to hospital, and I'm getting very, very stressed now. The fact that you're holding me here
and
illegally.
that's dangerous to what's going on as well.
In terms of like, well, yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, like, they're cops, they're not like, brain surgeons, not to make that sound like it's an insult, but like, they don't know anything about like, sort of, is this
So how
stress?
did they know you were poorly? Did you come round and say it? Did you remember that?
Because they were called for what had happened, but like, I was here like, guys, let go of me, I'm gonna go find my dog now, I've lost a dog, I don't need you to take me down to hospital.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have no right to hold on to me here. I have not, like, there's nothing even close to a crime that I've committed. So, like, let go of me immediately. And thankfully they did, because I was genuinely thinking in my mind, these two guys are holding on to me and I'm kind of resisting, but I haven't, like,
Applied any force.
And it's like, if I go like that, they'll bonk against each other and I can fucking run away.
Okay, so your brain was working properly.
My brain was, because I was like, I gotta fucking find my dog. She's a puppy. She's a beagle. She will run into traffic because she's following her nose. So it's like, I have to get out of this as soon as possible. And so I was like, this could be assault, but like, you might be able to hold together in court for like, you had genuine reasons to try and break away from you, and they had no reason why they would be holding on to you. But thankfully they let go, and then I just went around the park. And then I think once I was around the park, I was becoming sort of more aware of what had happened. And then that was like, kind of, no, you brought the dog back to the house and then you went out for a second run. You've forgotten that bit. And then so I came back.
Checked she was there.
Well, yeah, I did, but the paramedics were still sort of in the area, and I went up and was like, hi guys, I'm after like cooling off a bit, and I remember my dog is back at the house. And they're like, okay, cool, we're going to take you to the hospital now. I was like, no, I promise you I will come down to the hospital, but I need to see that dog first.
Just to make sure.
Just to like, to calm down. And I did, and then I went into the hospital. And there's actually a funny little situation that happened in the hospital, because I went down, my local hospital was, I suppose it still is my local hospital, it's not too far, is St. George's. And they do one night in A&E in St. George's. I think they still might be doing it. And this is like way before I had become popular on social media, but like, I had established that I was going to break the world record through social media. And I went into the hospital, and that someone came up to me and was like, hi, we shoot one night in A&E. Do you mind if we film you? And I was like, yes,
brilliant.
This is brilliant. Like, this is silver linings galore. Yes, definitely have me on. I'd be able to tell you that I'm trying to use my brain cancer against that.
Well, we seem to have danced around it and touched the subject, but when was the moment that you spoke about, raising all of this money for charity? What was the aha moment? And can we talk about some of the amazing challenges that you've done?
Yeah, of course. So the start was, because I had started that video game, drink cocktails and listen to an album at the same time thing. I had sort of
mini platform. You had like a small platform online, did you? A
tiny one, but it was more that like I had learned how to edit, and I had sort of been researching quite a lot of like how social media works and how to get better at it and all that sort of thing. So it was in my mind. And then when I first got the first scan, I said to myself, it's okay, the camera is here. That's actually, I suppose the camera's there. And because of that, my brain surgery is going to be on my left hand side, so I'm gonna have like no hair here for a while, and then there's also going to be a scar, so that's going to be an elephant in the room. Let's make sure that we announce that rather than not mention it at all. And it's like, I don't want this my social media platform to be all around me having cancer. I like, if I'm playing video games, I want it to be based off of that. I don't want it to sort of get the pity party. I want to succeed by merit. And then as I was going on, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll raise a bit of money for charity. And it's like, well, I made a channel called Headshots for Head Cancer. And the idea being is that, like, okay, guys, every time I get to shoot a player in the head, which is hard enough to do, everyone's got to donate £1. So it's like a minimal amount.
Okay.
The audience is like kind of, yay, he did it. Woohoo. It's like,
Did you have much of an audience during that then?
No, but that was just a concept that I wanted to do because I thought like it's addressing the problem, it's doing something good from it, but it's not making it the whole sort of thing.
And it's not asking for too much. It's feasible for people as well.
That was the point, where it's like there's a tiny amount of money, no one's really gonna miss a quid.
Yeah.
And so I thought the idea would be like that the audience themselves would be excited to be like, you didn't get a headshot, you don't get a pound. Yeah. So it's like
super interactive.
Yeah, so they're rooting for me to do it without being like, hey, you gotta donate 1,000 quid. It's like, no, go away. We're not gonna do that. So that was the idea. And then just when I got my diagnosis, where they're like, okay, yeah, we've looked at the tumor that we've analyzed afterwards, and it does look like this is exactly what we suspected. It's cancerous. It's stage 3 glioblastoma or an astrocytoma. I can't remember which one they are currently saying that it is. And so at that point, I was like, you know what? This is an opportunity. I'm going to reverse the idea of the social media thing. I kind of know how social media works a little bit. I've got an idea of it. I'm going to try and break a world record for most money raised rather than sort of elephant in the room, need to address it. I'm just going to go hard on the idea and not make the video games the main thing, but rather make it about breaking this charity world record.
What is the world record at the moment? What do you need to break?
A little bit over. $3 million is roughly what it is at currently. That fluctuates though because it was set in the UK by Steve Chalky, who I've met actually. He gave me
interesting.
Yeah. He gave me good advice. Well, not advice because he did it a very different way. He's a pastor, and but he's the current world record holder. He beat Steve Redgrave. Steve Chalky got it. Steve Redgrave took it over. And then Steve Chalky got it back again.
Amazing.
Yeah, which is great because, Steve Redgrave is 6 gold medals or something. And, you're not taking that from me, lad.
He's coming back.
You've got your gold medals already. I'm a priest. You're in my realm now. I know how to raise money.
Will he come back for it again, though?
That's what he was saying. Yeah. If I take that, he kind of said it a bit passively, but he did say,
it.
I don't know. He was like, oh God, I set that marathon world record 15 years ago. I suppose I might have to take it back again. But he kind of was saying it I don't run marathons anymore. But one of the great things about running is that as we degenerate through age, all our physical sort of things that we're good at, tennis, weightlifting, all those sort of things. Running is one of the last things to go down. So 70-year-olds can actually be still okay at running.
So I always thought it was quite impactful. And I love running. For me, I feel like it's really meditative. I feel like a lot of freedom when I get it. But some people it's really bad for your knees. You shouldn't do that when you're older. It can be quite impactful. But I've always really enjoyed it. What footwear do I use? I was using Asics. Are they okay?
If it has a raised heel, it's terrible for you.
All of mine have raised heels.
There you go.
Okay, and this must be why I had a tight ACL?
ACL on your knee?
Yeah.
Would you get that? That's normally not tight. It's normally snapped or something.
Maybe that's what I had something. I couldn't train for 6 weeks. So what one should I get then?
Anything that has a 0 sole.
Okay.
Meaning, and a wide toe box. That's what you look out for, because that means that your foot is landing as naturally as possible.
Okay,
and there's a great book called Born to Run, and it basically kind of goes through that one of the big reasons that we became the dominant life on Earth was because of our ability to hunt other animals, and it was through being able to catch up with them on a long distance run. So, and all animals, it's a great book. It kind of explains where all animals are different at speeds to their own advantage in their own way. So cheetahs are the fastest land animal on a sprint. And what are the deer called again? They start with it.
Antelopes.
Antelopes, yeah. So antelopes, they're better at a little bit more distance. Now, they do have great speed, but the cheetahs are faster. So the cheetahs have to get them in the sprint, otherwise they won't catch them. because the cheetahs won't be able to.
Because they'll burn out, essentially.
They'll burn out. The cheetahs will burn out sooner. And it goes into all this sort of thing where it's like the way four-legged animals run is they extend their legs out and it acts like an accordion to their lungs. So it expands their lungs like this. And then when their legs come in together, it pushes the air out. And that's really good for sprinting. But the way the human lung works is way more effective for longer periods of time. So we just keep running at the antelope. And eventually they're just like...
It just gives up and
if
just falls over.
they just give up and die, and then we mill a spear at it, and then it's like, give me that food.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like very few animals have sweat glands as well. Like there's loads of different things. We have a bone in the back of our neck, which means that as we are running, we can keep eye contact with something. Like if we were running past this sign, we'd be able to see like getting there. And as we are sprinting past, you'd still be able to read it. Other animals do not have that.
Like peripheral vision.
No, not so much but you said it right.
Peripheral vision.
Peripheral vision. No, not that. It's the ability to focus as we move on things. So if you can imagine as you're chasing something, if you can stay on that, you'd see it in loads of sports. So like imagine professional rugby, not even professional rugby players, imagine rugby players sprinting at full pace and being able to throw a ball accurately to someone to their left and right. Well, not if you're right-handed, you can't do it to the left. Me anyway, and this other person who's receiving the ball can detect where the ball is going to be. That all comes in that little bone that's in the back of our necks, whereas many animals don't have that. So I think the example they give as the counterpoint in the book is pigs don't have that, and so when they walk, they go like that, and
they go from side to side.
Yeah, well, their neck doesn't turn like ours does. If you look at someone running, you'll actually see that their head kind of, the body moves like this and the head stays relatively in the same place.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a brilliant book. It's easily one of my favorites. And so with that, one of the things that they point out is that we didn't have shoes that had like, you know, a high heel 100 years ago.
Of course.
So, and there's like, they also show this point. I think they use the Boston Marathon as an example where it's like, here's the amount of injuries that have happened in the Boston Marathon. And here's like general speed progression due to sports research. And then it hits this point and it goes, no. And it's where the high-heeled shoe for sports was introduced. And you can see that the injury rate for
just
runners
fluctuated.
Skyrocketed. And even
so what have you got on now? Show me. See, these are flat. What
zeros.
are they? Do we run in those?
Huh?
Do we run in those?
I'm going to be running home in these, yeah.
Are you going to run home?
Yeah.
What about the backpack?
It's not that heavy.
It's not irritating up and down.
Not if you squeeze it in, so it's nice and tight.
Oh, okay, amazing. Sorry, I'm going completely off target. So how much have you raised and how much you got left to overtake them both?
So far we have raised in and around $500,000 US.
Amazing.
Yeah, and but this year, because every year it restarts, that's part of the reason why I focused on follow the channel. We'll get sponsors. And the sponsors will donate on your behalf as opposed to just keep asking people for donations.
Yeah, so this is what I found so fascinating about your concept. So for people that are listening, so tell me that I've got this right. They don't even have to donate. They have to follow your page in order to get as much traction to the page as possible. And then you and your team go out and approach corporates or companies that want to be affiliated with them.
Yep.
And also get the marketing that comes with having somebody like with a big platform like yourself.
Yep. So we sell the advertisements.
I've never seen that done before.
Yeah, it's unique.
Was it your idea, I'm guessing?
It was inspired very much from the way that Mr. Beast and PewDiePie, who are both, I think PewDiePie was the biggest YouTuber for quite a long time, and then Mr. Beast got ahead. But they're mates as far as I know. And they both give huge amounts to charity. And Mr. Beast's whole concept is he doesn't really care about the money himself. He wants to do wacky videos like get in a Ferrari, be an Uber driver in a Ferrari, and then give the Ferrari to the person who's
ordered the Uber.
Yeah, so he does that. He does these sort of massive giveaway things because he cares more about, like, you know, he likes to be number one. He wants to be successful in the thing, and so like he doesn't care about, like, you know, having gold watches and keeping.
I'm gonna have to go and
Ferraris.
have a little look.
Yeah, so I kind of just not quite copied the idea, but like that idea of don't hang on to the money, give the money away. And then I thought that the idea would catch on where it's basically like a press a button to cure cancer, because it's like follow and money goes through without actually having money from someone's bank account.
Well, it's not a big action for them, is it? They've got to hit follow. They haven't got to log in.
Nope.
That's fantastic.
No
so
sign-ups, no.
Tell us about some of your challenges and what's been your favourite ones.
As in some of the physical ones
Yeah, the
that we
physical
did.
ones.
So we did 32 counties of Ireland. It was aimed to be over the course of 32 days, and it was like from the start of August to the 1st of September. And it was to do a half marathon at each one of them. I hurt my knee during one of them, so we had to start doing like cycles that were like 4 times as long because we thought that was about even. And then the day after the knee injury, we tried to do that in a wheelchair. That was the hardest one by a mile because it wasn't a sporting wheelchair.
It was just a normal.
It was just a normal wheelchair, and the two wheels at the front kept veering off to the side. So it was just like, I'd say.
So how long were you in the wheelchair doing that for?
Oh God, it took hours. It took and in the end, I was aiming to just do 10 kilometers, and I could only do 5, and it took.
Your arms just in pieces.
Well, the arms were a bit numb, but it wasn't so much about like the arm strength. It was just the constant realignment of the wheelchair. In the end, what we tried to figure out was I literally got a bit of string and attached it to my foot, and then attached it to the wheel so that it wouldn't turn.
So it's kept it in line.
Yeah, and we kind of made a Christy Brown reference to that.
Yeah.
Christy, do you know?
No,
Christy?
I don't think.
So My Left Foot. Have you ever heard of the book? So My Left Foot is about an Irish guy who it's a true story. Made famous by the book that he wrote himself. Daniel Day-Lewis did a film about it as well. And it's about Christy Brown, who was a cerebral palsy patient way back in Ireland in the 50s, and they were completely unaware of the fact that he had like a very active mind, but they didn't know the truth about or the details of cerebral palsy back in the day. And so they just thought that he was like, he's retarded, which is the correct term before someone's like, you're not allowed to use that word. And then so he was just not sent to school and all this. And then he basically through learning, even though he wasn't being taught, he had taught himself to write, and he had his left foot was able to move, and he could kind of articulate a bit with it. He's dexterous. And he literally, in the film anyway, I don't know, in the real situation.
Is the film called My Left Foot as well?
It is, yes. And then in the film, he gets a piece of chalk and he writes down the word mother on a piece of chalk, and then they realize, oh my God, he's like, he's not stupid. Yeah. He's like, he's very aware of what's going on.
He's just trapped.
Yeah, and it's like, it's quite a big sort of like Irish films. We don't have a huge amount of Irish films produced. So like if one's good, like
you're all behind it.
Everyone in Ireland gets it. So like there'd be a lot of quotes that people would sort of know from certain things. And I think the big one would be like, let Christy take it, would be the one that everyone knows from My Left Foot, because like his brothers, his family, they're all just playing football out in the laneway or whatever, and then they get Christy to kick the ball as a penalty, and so like and scores a goal, and everyone's like, yeah, but like everyone always quotes that. So like you'd hear it a lot in schools when I was young. Anyway, I'd like to think that the lads are still doing it, where like if someone's playing football, just like out in the fields and five-a-side or whatever, someone just says it every so often, let Christy take it. And so I can't remember what we were talking about.
We were talking about you made some content around that.
I had to use my foot
with
to
the
keep
string
the thing
to align it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so in order to kind of keep my own sanity and keep the motivation up, that was something that like me and my mate who was helping with some of the filming out, let Christy take it.
So what are your mates in the team doing? Are they just walking, like cycling beside you? Are they driving along in a car? How are they partaking?
No, not a huge amount, to be honest. Most of the stuff that I do by myself, but like for the 32 counties, I just kind of needed a mate. Like, here, give me a lift to Clare. Yeah. Give me a lift to Donegal. Give me a lift to Kildare.
So what's next on the list to get you to the next 2.5?
The next thing would be the Berlin Marathon, which I'm turning into the Berlin Marathon. Meaning that every 3 miles on the Berlin Marathon, I'm going to have a beer. Have a beer. Yep.
So hold on, how many? 3? What's that?
About
8 beers.
About 9. It comes to like 8.7. So all around.
How many beers does it take to get you like tipsy, drunk? Never drunk beer.
Well, because nine beers would get you fucking.
You'd be on your way, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be half cut at least. But then there's also
we're gonna just see you like army roll over the finish line.
Yeah, I'll be able to handle like back home we do like the 12 pints of Christmas and like so.
And you wasted at 12 pints of Christmas.
Christ, yeah. If you're not, you're an alcoholic. But like we've done like brought that up to like we done. I think our maximum was 15 pubs that we did. Not so much that it was a goal. Let's go to another bar. We were just like, come on, we're going to another bar.
Yeah, I'm not going home.
Come on, we're going to another bar. Come on, we're going to another bar. And like I think 15 is like the 15 pubs that we've done. And I think part of that was like we weren't counting how many we did because we were fucking hammered. Like it was just sort of like, all right, come on, we've done 1 point. Let's go to the next bar. And then it was the next day where we were all kind of doing the debrief together, where it's like in the WhatsApp group, it was like, how many did we actually do? And it's like, okay, we went to Gogarty's, we went to there, we went to this, we went to the Devon, and then we counted them. It was like, okay, yeah, 15 we did.
So what will practice like this look like? Will you stop and have a beer every 3 miles in the UK? So you kind of, because you obviously don't listen.
I haven't
be
done it in
boring. You
practice
don't want
for
to end up like dehydrated. I know that sounds
don't think
boring.
that's not
Sounds
gonna be a
really
problem.
mumsy, is it? But probably you could or not.
Well, I'm not doing any practice for it. I mean,
You're
like,
not doing practice beer runs.
No, because I understand. Like, I'm not going to be doing this as a thing.
Yeah.
But it is a thing for some people. There is a genuine
Market for it.
Well, not so much a market. Like there's a genuine beer mile world record and world challenge, and they do so fast. They drink 4 beers because in a mile run, it's done on the a normal athletics track, and it's 4 laps, and they drink 4 beers for every lap of the athletics track. And so a lot of people might know that the 4-minute mile was something that was like kind of, they thought no one could break, just like the 2-hour world record. And then it was broken back in the 50s. But like the current world record for the beer for the beer mile is like 4 minutes, 30 seconds, which is something. 4 minutes used to be something that was thought to be unbreakable.
Let alone drunk.
Yeah, well, not even let alone drunk, because I mean, like they're doing it in less than 4 minutes or less than 5 minutes. They're not gonna have the alcoholic effects, but it's they have to stop, drink the beer, go again, stop, drink the beer. So if you think, even if it was just down to the stopping and starting, never mind the consumption of like something that's gaseous and it's not going to be pleasant. Even if it was just water, like they'd still do it. And the champion has done it in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. That's like, 30 seconds off of Roger Bannister's first breaking.
Crazy.
It's insane.
So for people listening,
I'm not going to be trying to do that.
I bet you say that. We'll get you back on next time. You're like, I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
So for people listening to this, how can they support you best?
The simplest way is to go on to whichever the social media platform that is their preference, whether it be Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter. Just the username is unanimously the same, the King of Chemo.
And can they donate as well? Do you have a page they can just donate?
Nope. Oh, I suppose, actually, you could buy the merchandise.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, so outside of the cost to actually put the T-shirt together, the money goes towards cancer research. And actually, oh wait, do you have a phone on you?
Yeah, go for it. So, what do we need?
So if you come over here.
That's my son. How cute is he?
He's very cute.
You didn't even see the picture.
I did. He's in a tuxedo. He's like little James Bond.
Go, give me cheese.
So zoom in. No. Use a photograph and zoom in, because you'll see that that's a QR code.
Oh, boom. Wait, hold on. Let's take that properly. I'll do one of those things, when you pretend it's a video.
Mm-hmm.
Right, keep still. Oh, it's just come up.
Yep.
Oh, it's gone portrait mode.
Yep.
Wait.
Do you want me to set up?
Done it. Boom. Wait, hold on. I'll take a picture too. See, this is what I mean about the tech. This is why we need Jeff. Wait, boom. Boom, shaka. Boom. Got it.
What, did you go to the QR code?
Yeah. And I took a picture of it, no?
There you go.
Boom.
It's a good little system, isn't it?
Boom.
So we have that on mugs, and we have that on T-shirts and hoodies.
Fantastic. So, where are you at now with the with your diagnosis? Are they? What treatment are you undergoing whilst doing all of this amazing stuff?
So I don't have any treatment. I have checkups on scans. So quarterly, every 3 months, go in, take a scan, and that's because there was a slight shrinkage in the tumor.
Brilliant.
Really good news, and that was about 2 years ago when I got that, and then since then it's been
stable.
Just not showing signs of growth. So it's something that needs to be constantly
monitored,
looked at. Yeah,
but as long as it stays that way, you're okay.
I mean, yeah, but it's unrealistic to think that it's not going to rise like a phoenix and come back in and start causing hassle again. And if that happens, it's like, second dose of chemo, second craniotomy. There might be other research that comes out in the meantime. So yeah.
So how has your diagnosis affected the way you've lived your life? Because you seem to be living with a lot of purpose and intent.
Well, that's, yeah, in terms of what it, like like it's hard to kind of think what separates what, but the cancer itself has made me sort of do this charity challenge thing. And previously, it's something that I talk about a fair bit. Like previously, I didn't really have a massive life goal. I wanted to be a busy father with a big family and sort of make sure that I'm spending, not like, I'm working on a big, expensive career so that I can afford a nanny. And it's like, or you could, not work your ass off and you could take care of your kids yourself. That seems like it's more sort of life sensible to me. And so I was the kind of guy that was like, I'd want to try and spend as much time with the kids, raise them right, have a huge family, because as I'm seeing now, once someone has a family, once someone has a kid, their life is different and they no longer socialize with their friends. They like are family people. And I see that with all of my mates. None of them are ever out. And I think one of them comes out, but like they sort of treat their kids as if like, oh no, I couldn't possibly go for a coffee with you. Couldn't possibly go for the good. Like, have the kids. It's like, okay, why don't you bring the kids?
Yeah. Have you been to lunch with kids?
They're not made of radiation.
No, but they're annoying.
They are, yeah.
When you're there, I'm like, oh my God. So we were on holiday with our friends. I hope they probably will listen to this, but let's hope not. But anyway, but I had my son, they had their kids. My son then went to his dad's and they're like, do you want to come for dinner? And I was like, don't really want to go for dinner with two people who've got kids when I've just got ditched mine. Like, they are an inconvenience.
They are, but at the same time, it's like,
I'll lend you mine for 3 days, okay?
Okay, but I would rather, let's say like we're lifelong friends. I would rather see you with your kid 100%. And your kid's kind of annoying us a bit than not see you at all.
Yeah, of course.
And so that's why like it sort of annoys me that like none of my mates come out anymore. It's just like, oh, the kid is, bring the kid. I haven't seen your kid. I don't know your kid. I'd like to like kind of know your kid a little bit. My mom's friends know me when I was like really young and I knew her friends, and it was nice to kind of have that sort of they become like family, don't they? I've got so many people like godparents who are not godparents. Do you know what I mean? I don't, not my godmother, but like when you get your, oh God, I can't even remember. Catholicism as would be very annoyed with me. So you have your first communion and then you have your
Holy Communion, same thing.
Yeah. No? But then what's the next thing?
I know. It's when you're like 16.
Starts with a C. Yeah. No, it's earlier than that. My parents are getting very annoyed at me right now. Anyway, when you do the second thing, it's like more of an acknowledgement of you have more of an understanding of the church, and you get someone to sort of be like your person who somewhat represents you as like a guardian. And like my guardian that I chose for that was one of my mom's friends. Because it's like same thing. It's like, you look after me sort of thing. You raise me through the church properly. And it's sort of, I kind of think like I would grow to sort of like, it's a very common thing in just general culture where people grow up together, where like, a mom would know several of the other moms, and like they'd know her son's friends, and the friends would like, sort of know their mom's friends, because it'd be a communal thing. And sort of, I feel like it's a slight
something doesn't happen,
that.
But it was almost like that back door feel years ago. When someone would have their front door open or their back door, everyone would come inside each other's houses. You don't really get that now. Well, like, play out on the street and things.
Yeah.
But this interestingly brings me to a question. Obviously, you were raised in the church. Has your relationship with God?
Oh no! Well, I mean, like
helped you through any of this?
Like every Irish person, I was brought up with religion sort of as a
given.
Yeah, as a given. And then, but like my parents, they're not actually that practicing at all. And so it was like confirmation, that was what.
There we go.
Yeah, so once we sort of did that. And then after that, it was kind of like, okay, you've got your confirmation. And me and my brother, we never liked going to church anyway. It was like just in the morning, it's like kids need more sleep. And I was cranky and never liked doing it. And then eventually it was just sort of like, are you coming to the church? We're like, yeah. And then no, like obviously it's had a massive impact on the culture of Ireland, but I would imagine 90% of the population are like Catholic by association and
My
not by
mum's
belief.
obviously was Irish Catholic, but they call it window shopping. It's like, yeah, I'm Catholic under this umbrella, but like when it suits almost, but you're not going to discredit your faith. But interestingly, does this kind of, I've had a few people on the show that talk about, you know, they've had like brushes with death or do like situations, had a girl on here that was poorly as well. Does that make you revisit that relationship with God or a higher power or whatever it is? Has that had any impact on your life?
No, I like something that I've kind of, I don't think it had anything to do with cancer, but like as a teenager, I was very much, I'm an atheist, God's bad, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then like as I got older, it's like you kind of learn about what even though obviously there's thousands of awful things that like, you know, have been like tragedies that have happened through religion as a thing, you also kind of look down, it's like, okay, why do we have the laws that we currently have in the world? And it's like, that comes from the religions that we have followed. So it's like the whole sort of the laws that we have in most of the Western world, where it's like the individual matters, that's derived from Catholicism, or not Catholicism, but from Christianity, where it's like, as an individual, you are responsible for this and you're accountable to blah, 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 blah. And that's why human beings have so many, lots of the laws are based off of the individual's right to do something, whereas in a lot of other places in the world, it's more about like the benefits of the group. And so that's where, like, why free speech is so important.
I don't think we've got free speech at the moment.
We certainly do not.
Okay.
But like, why we care about it so much more, where it's not seen as that much of an importance in, say, like sort of communist countries. And like, this is making me sound very much like, oh, those commies are out to get us. I mean, my concept is essentially based off of communism, where it's like, follow the thing and I'll get like, you know, you don't need to spend money. Bad capitalism, but also good capitalism. Anyway, there's like, people are too upset with the idea of communism being a bad thing, where it's like, I don't know, free healthcare is pretty good, free education is pretty good. Outside of that, I mean, give it a bit of a...
I don't know, I feel like none of it's real. Do you know what I mean? Everyone says one thing and then actually does another. Got a question for you though. As you know, the show is called Getting There. It's about everyone heading. Where are you, where is there to you? And has that destination or that place changed since your diagnosis? Like, what were you chasing earlier in life and where are you trying to chase now?
Oh, I'm so I am never going to stop the chasing of something, because I'm very aware that it's not about the destination. I'm not going to like break the world record for most money raised for a marathon and then be like, okay, cool, I can now rest. Like, I'm not doing that. It just moves straight away over to most money raised for longest charity walk, which I'll be doing in Europe.
Which is how far?
Not longest walk. Most money raised for a charity walk.
Okay.
I don't think there's a...
Here's a question. The doctors sit down with you tomorrow morning and everything's fine. You're like, absolutely fine. It's gone. How does life change for you then?
I'll add the previous life goal that I had of having a big family. I'll add that in.
Was that taken away then? Would you not feel?
Well, I don't think it's a realistic life goal to have anymore, because if I'm going up to like in a relationship with someone, it's like, hey, let's have kids. It's like, okay, are you going to be around to raise them? And like the woman that I would want to marry and have kids with, she's probably going to have a few brain cells to be able to look in the future and think, you're not exactly going to be the best father if you're not there. So,
but I suppose there's other views on the side of the coin where you could have some really magical moments with someone special and maybe have a family.
There is, but...
So is that holding you back now with that kind of thing, with any terms of romantic relationships?
I just don't think that it's a realistic achievement. Well, not achievement. Marriage.
It is an achievement, though. Children is an achievement.
Yeah, but that's sort of like to think of it as something like, you know, aha, like, you know, holding up your child and thing. The catch of the day.
Yeah, but for me, it was like, no, I can't say a box ticking exercise, can I? I can't. But I so wanted a family.
Yeah.
Like, so, and I was like, once I get to, that was my there, right? So I was like, that's it. Once I have a family, because I grew up in a really dysfunctional background. Once I have my family, like, no one can take this away from me, blah, blah. And I got there and I was like, is this it? And I realised it was never the thing or the person. So sometimes we become so attached on it being this or that. And for me, And like a lot of people might be like, oh my God, they're your world. Of course my son's my world. But I was chasing this illusion of a family. Unfortunately, I split up with my son's dad, so that's probably something to do with it as well. But I was like, it never ended up being what I thought it was going to be. Although I've got my son, I still never got the whole family environment.
Yeah.
So I completely hear you when you're saying that as well.
Well, I just think that it's not a realistic thing that I could that could happen because it requires two people. It requires it takes two to
Well,
tango.
not nowadays.
At the moment,
depends when you're looking.
Yeah, in the future, I'm sure there's going to be like, here, let me just drop my sperm into there.
Yeah, no, I'll be like one of those things my son has. When you just put the toy in, you put the water in, it just grows.
Yeah.
We've got a dinosaur. I looked at it this morning. I was like, that's fucking big. We've got a dinosaur on the shelf that's like got water and sunlight. It's just getting incredibly bigger.
I mean, I was thinking a bit more sort of bleak and profound. Well, bleak if that's what you sort of think, but like, we're all going to become cyborgs fairly soon.
We are cyborgs, though, are we not? We're all walking here with the phones half attached.
We're going to be merging into we're going to be putting those sort of microchips into our minds, and we're going to be possibly living into the Matrix. And like, that's like sounded like wacky stuff back in the 90s, but like if you're unaware that like we are going to do that, like how
well, we are.
Yeah, someone is going to say like, I need to have ChatGPT in my mind, whereas even though most of the population is going to be like, guys, that's a terrible idea, let's not do that. There's going to be one person that does it, and then they're just going to be a billionaire because they're going to have access to so much information like that, and then everyone is going to have to follow suit. Everyone is going to have to. It's like that same thing with like Alice in Wonderland, and she's chasing or she's in a race with the Queen of Hearts, is it?
I think so.
There's something where it's meant to be like a thing that's to mention evolution, where it's like, it's not about getting better. It's just about maintaining pace with your competition. And so that's why I think like the AI cannot stop. No one can put a plug on it.
Yeah, have you seen that? So obviously they wrote the open letter, didn't they? So do you see Elon Musk signed it? Mo Gadat. So he was my first guest, Mo Gadat. And he spoke about it, about the open letter that they all wrote. And, they talk openly about it. They say, if you open Pandora's box, as a humanity, we are not going back. And it's just become this arms race. And for 6 months, all of the large companies apparently stopped experimenting or, accelerating in their growth. And now it's just a complete arms race to who can get there first. Also, I feel that, and I could be wrong or I could be right, my son's not old enough to play video games yet, but they're in those kind of things where you have such a mass group of people with, like, to me, vulnerable ages playing video games. Like, are they going to start putting subliminal messages in there where people start playing games?
Oh, they already did.
Yeah. Okay.
They've done that ages ago. They literally were the game Warzone is funded by the U.S. Army Recruitment Initiative, and you can see the differences in Warzone 4, or what it was originally called that, versus the second one. And they used to have quotations related to war that they had. And so a lot of them were like poetic quotations from people who would be talking about like anti-war sentiments. And then in the second game, after it started getting funding from the US Defense Department, those quotations changed significantly to be far more positive about war. And they came from people like Dick Cheney. And it's like, not exactly the kind of guy that you want to be like following to go to war about.
Have you seen that thing on YouTube where Grant Cardone just puts out like an advert, on YouTube, and in one of the images he uses, like he's got some people in his interviews. One of them has Donald Trump in it, just like in the background somewhere. So it gets taken down. So it gets taken down by YouTube, and they're like, this goes against all of our guidelines, our UDA's guidelines. Froze their account. So he reapplies, superimposes Donald's face out, puts Kamala Harris in, and it gets re-uploaded within like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're telling me we're not being controlled. Fascinating. So we're going completely off target.
Yeah.
But
I'm so much against that. Whether it's like, regardless of who you support in any political race, like the idea of like shutting something down to push an agenda is
well, that's
awful.
the problem. No matter. Yeah. And also, I think people forget, right? We weren't born to agree. No. Like there is meant to be the left and the right and the opposing, and that's where the beauty is. If we all started just agreeing and we were like robots, what would be the point in living? You don't embrace anyone's uniqueness. But the sad part is that you see so many neighbours and friends. Like, we met some Americans when we were in Portugal, and they said like they'd fell out with so many friends over who was voting the election and all of this is just to divide and conquer. You lose the beauty of life is to not to agree on anything, and that's okay. You can come on here and say something that I don't agree with, but we can go and you can get beer, but I won't have a beer. I can get a gin and tonic after, and we can talk about it, and that's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. There's so many things that are that my friends would like. Having a blazing row is great fun down to the pub, where it's like it could be over the absolute like completely meaningless, but like people don't take a step back and think, how much does this actually affect me, and how much does it affect like the relationship that I have with this person? And like at some points there are sort of like if you were to start a family with someone, I think you definitely have to have the right sort of
foundation.
A foundation of virtues together. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of problems when you start having kids. But
well, that was what happened to me. I said, I put it on Instagram the other day. I was like, you've got to be so careful who you have sex with, because you could just end up solo parenting.
Yeah.
And it is not fun.
No, but if my brother, like, came out and he was like sort of very extreme on sort of one sort of political thing, and I disagreed with that, I wouldn't like, not be around my brother. He'd still be my brother. Unless it was like, it was like, hey, I'm starting up the Nazi party. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to, like, put
your family talking
put
about
my foot down a little bit. No, not my jackboot. I'm gonna my brother's name is Jack, so there's 2 jokes for you. Yeah. And
your family must be so proud of you, though, Iain. Everything that you're doing.
Well, they say they are.
Do they get involved? Do they do any of the fitness stuff, or do they just follow?
No.
Okay, right. Final question.
My brother, well, not that he sort of gets involved, but my brother is into long distance racing as well, and so, well, not kind of racing, and yeah, hopefully we do a couple of races together.
Amazing. Final question, Iain. How would you like to be remembered?
I don't care. I honestly don't care. Like back to our conversation about sort of the heavens and whatnot. I just think it's bang gone, and it's just sort of.
No, but how do you want to be remembered to everyone that's like here?
I like, again, one of the things that I'm trying to focus on is to try and get a team of people that are also known on my own social media channel to be helping to raise the thing, so that when I die, that
continues, the legacy
channel keeps going.
That's amazing.
Because I like the idea that, like, the concept that I've come up with and the sort of platform that I've created keeps going. But like, I don't want it to be like, here's me and my face all over the thing, because I won't be able to say to someone, that picture looks fucking awful, can you use something else? Like, no, as long as it keeps going, that's what I would prefer. Well,
I've had an amazing time with you. I hope you've had as much fun as me. There's something for you in that bag.
That's really cool. Thank you very much.
Right, final questions. Right. Bucket list. What's on it?
Oh, loads of stuff. But that's like, they're all sort of things that are coming up with the future plans. So I suppose break the world record for marathon, break the world record for charitable walk. I want to circumnavigate the earth by manpower, so not to swim across certain oceans and certain lakes, but to like row across it with a thing. But leading up to that, I want to do a double marathon, which is 52 miles in the 52 countries and territories of the continent of Europe, which is 52. And there's 52 weeks in a year. So try to do a double marathon in each territory and thing every once a week.
Sweet Jesus.
We're trying to do that over at the end of 2025, because 25, you switch that around. It's 52.
Amazing.
Yeah, we haven't come up with a great name because it's kind of hard to like 52 weeks, 52 blah, 52.
Just 52, no?
Yeah, we're just going to call it Euro 52. I don't know. We'd if like, anyone in the audience has come up with like a better name, let us know. So yeah, that's one of the soonest bucket list that I want to try and achieve.
Favorite takeaway?
The one that doesn't arrive. It's terrible for you.
What, the Chinese?
We love a Chinese. Cheeky Chinese boy. A succulent Chinese meal.
Right, what time
There you go. That's my favourite takeaway. A succulent Chinese meal.
What time of day do you wake up?
Around 9.
Okay. Not a morning person?
No, definitely not.
What time do you go to bed then?
Often quite late. So like 1 o'clock would be early for me.
But Jesus, that's late.
If you could 100% a night out.
Yeah, if you could be anyone for a day, sorry, who do you want to be?
Putin. I'd kill myself.
Okay, fantastic. I gave you £1 million right now, what are you going to do with it?
Put it into my charity.
Okay. If you went on a date...
I'd put everything bar a fiver and I get you a G&T.
Okay,
Which I don't know where I get that from.
Get 5... Oh, we have to go to the off
yeah,
licence.
We'd have to go, no, we'd have, yeah.
We're in central London. We'd have to go to the off licence.
Go to Spoons. There you go.
Right. If you go on a date, are you splitting or paying for the bill?
It depends on who has initiated the date. So it's whoever asks.
Okay. Interesting.